Hello, everybody. Really sorry that I can't be with you in person today at the Darlington EdTech Festival. So, my name's Kevin Sait. I am a Surface Evangelist for Microsoft. And what I'm doing now is I'm going to now run through the presentation I was going to make for demystifying or getting the best from Office 365 and Surface. So, as we get started, a little bit of history. Before I worked for Microsoft, I was the head of IT strategy for Wyndham High School in Norfolk. And back in about 2013, I started in that job role. And one of the first things I did was really to make sure that the students had the right tools for learning and skills for life and skills for the future. So we were a Google school. We were actually, every school in Norfolk was a Google school. And it was Google's single biggest EU rollout back in the time. And I formed a team of students from year 11 and year 12. And we created something called the O team. And this was really about student-centric learning and decisions. So one of the things I asked was how students learned, the kind of skills that they wanted to achieve for going on to university and employment marketplace. And it was those kind of answers which really formed that these guys that you see in the picture were instrumental in deploying Office 365 to their peers, 1,850 of them to be exact. So really pre-pandemic today is when we kind of talk about the use of the cloud and things like that. Really, we see companies like Uber, Netflix, Facebook, and so on, which are companies that really have been brought up on the data-centric kind of way of doing business. So, for example, Uber, the largest taxi firm, owns no cars, obviously Facebook, Skype, and so on and so on. So these are changing times for business, and really have led to that move into education and the skills that we need there. So just as a quick example, 2005, again, just to remember, this is all pre-pandemic in that respect. But 2005, we see a service at the Vatican for Pope Benedict. When we look at 2013 for Pope Francis, we see not candles, but we see the advent of mobile devices and mobile technology. So, you know, this infrastructure is embedded in the core of what our students do as well. And obviously, from an education perspective, having the right tools to match those skills is really key. So when we hit March 2020, it seems a long time ago now, but Satya Nadella, Microsoft's CEO, really in one of his latest speeches was talking about how we've actually seen 2 years of technology adoption in education in the space of 2 months. And this really means that we have put the technology front and center of what we do, front and center of student learning, where maybe in the past it may have taken a slight back step in that respect. But now the use of delivering that hybrid learning environment through whatever cloud platform that you use is absolutely essential to the student success. And at the end of the day, it is about the student success that we're interested in. So what we have also seen, of course, in that pandemic is we've really made the home the classroom. So it's ensuring that teachers and students have the right skills, those cloud skills really to be proficient in Office 365, because the world around us, the industry world, is still evolves around the Microsoft Office 365 platform. And we have plenty of opportunity using Microsoft 365 and other areas of the Microsoft ecosystem for you to be able to skill teachers and students up to be proficient in that platform. And of course, we've seen unprecedented growth in the use of Microsoft Teams as well. So this is really what I call the technology integration piece, and it's more than about thinking of one thing. So if you're thinking about Office 365, Microsoft 365, that's fine, you know. But really, for an engaging cloud-based learning solution where you can support users at home, at any geographic location, in the classroom, hybrid learning. It really brings these 4 chunks of my technology integration piece here. So obviously we've got Microsoft 365 in the top corner. That's our front end, that's our user experience, that's our applications and things like that. We also have to give great credence to the data security. So how are we managing school data on people's devices? And of course, we see a lot more use of home devices and things like that. Teacher CPD, very important, ensuring that we have teachers with the right skills. And if you're utilizing the hybrid learning platform, that it's really essential that both teachers and students have all of those skill sets. And of course, at the bottom right-hand corner, it's actually, also having the right device. And in my experience, we've seen, utilizing Surface in the classroom, that 2-in-1 device, with digital inking being a real key player in expanding the learning for students. So if we look at that technology integration just a bit deeper, data security, with your Microsoft 365 subscription, you get all of the data security and compliance tools in Azure that you'll need. So things like Windows information protection, so you can protect documents which are important to the school, no matter what device that they sit on. Data labeling is really key. And of course, you have the security and compliance dashboard in Office 365. You also get a really straightforward GDPR toolset. So if you've got DSR requests that you have to process, it really is a simple, straightforward process. And all of that is backed up through identity management through Azure Active Directory. Of course, we have Microsoft 365 working with data security. It really gives your students the best possible environment, and it really maps to the mainstream Microsoft Office products that you use in university, education, and employment. And then the last part of that jigsaw being Surface. The 2-in-1 device. So, if you want to transform and be creative with devices and learning in your school and your establishment, I would recommend Surface as the heart of that. If you want to just continue in that same vein of a clamshell notebook, for taking notes and things like that, then that's fine. You can obviously use that with Microsoft 365 and the data security. But if you want to engage students in the ability for art, design, technology, general skills or note taking, etc., then the 2-in-1 design of the Surface is really key and at the heart of that. So as we go through the rest of the session, I'm going to talk about 3 things. We're going to talk about better learning outcomes for students. We're going to talk about transforming classroom time, and we're going to talk about affordable, easy to manage technology. And everything that we talk about in Microsoft Education really fits into those 3 pillars. So, to start with, let's just refresh our mind about exactly what Office 365 is. So Office 365 is our cloud offering based around the Office platform. So as you can see there, it really makes Office available to you on any device. So students themselves are really what I would call data centric. They are really not bothered about what device they use to consume that data, but as long as their Office documents look the same and don't have to be changed or edited. So they could be using an iPad at home, they could be using Office online, or they could be even using Office on their mobile device, or indeed their desktop PC or Mac. And that experience is fluid throughout those platform changes. And what drives that Office 365 environment? Well, it's this 4th industrial revolution, the industrial revolution of the data center. So if you look there on the left-hand side, there is a typical Microsoft data center, which we would see. All our data centers for UK education only store data in the UK. So From a compliance perspective, all our data sits in the UK from an education SKU perspective. On the right-hand side, you may have seen this. It's recently been fetched out of the North Sea, but that's an underwater data centre. And I suppose really the reason why I've included that picture is it really just goes to show the investments that Microsoft and other providers are making into the cloud. It's not something that is going to go away. It really is the front and center of modern computing. So when we talk about devices, of course, Microsoft have the Surface brand. This is what I support customers on directly, about utilizing and getting the best from Surface in the classroom. But as you can see, if we go back to 2012, we saw the launch of the Surface RT. Mainstream really went Surface Pro 3 back in 2014, but you see that investment in our design that we make with Surface. So from a Surface perspective itself and Microsoft, we see that the kind of research and development that we plow into new form factors, most recently with the new Surface Duo that's just been launched. But Surface is a brand that is really here to stay and will always be at the cutting edge of design. And our current Surface family goes all the way through from the small, light, super light Surface Go, which is now Surface Go 2, through to the iconic Surface Pro device, which is again 2-in-1, and the new Pro X. Pro X is our new ARM-based device as well, so features all of that great mobile technology in there as well. Moving all the way up to the Surface Studio and the Surface Hub, as you can see there. So the most popular device that we run for students is our Surface Go 2, which is extremely light at 1.15 pounds. Got all that cool Surface technology engineering built into it, so it's still 2-in-1. Got the detachable keyboard, the kickstand, dual studio mics at the top there, a 1080p camera for work with Teams, and really is our entry-level device. As well. And obviously, as you can see there, the thing that has really made Surface really at the top of its game is the digital inking capabilities. So let's have a look at that baseline from a Microsoft Office 365 perspective. The Plan A1, which is free for schools, gives you a great set of Office online applications: Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, and Outlook. And of course, at heart and center of that is Teams as well. So these great tools are available to you for free. If you have subscribed to the Plan A3 or A5 for schools, you're going to get a whole lot more services as well. But today we're just going to concentrate on the great things that you can do and take away on the basic free plan. So Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, one thing I would definitely like to shout out about is our investment in skills development. And as Satya says there, that the pathway to new technologies requires a parallel investment in skills development. And this is very true. If we are just giving teachers and students a platform and say, there you go, get on with it, that really isn't how we should be behaving in today's climate. There should be an equal pathway of skills development for people to understand the platform, understand the way of working as well. So the way we back that up is through our education platform, Microsoft Educator Community. And that means that you can get certified in all aspects of teaching, using these great tools. And that will means you can get onto becoming a Microsoft Innovative Educator. And therefore, as an organization, you can then develop authorized trainers, and you can also enroll in our Showcase Colleges program using the Microsoft Imagine Academy. So great opportunities for people to build the Microsoft ecosystem for students, and for students and teachers to get the benefit as they go on to the next steps of education. So the Microsoft Educator Community has recently, last few months, has been updated, but you can get to there through the website, which I'll show you on the next page. But you'll see that there are such relevant courses. So if you look at the four down at the bottom, a training course on hybrid learning, the future. This is developed obviously since March as well, but these are developed by other educators, stamped by Microsoft and put out there free in the educator community. So the website I would implore you to have a look at is education.microsoft.com, and that will allow you to enroll in there, and you'll be able to proceed down the Microsoft Innovative Educator Experience and that education framework. So remember, this isn't just, here's the apps, here's a great way of working. This is the whole ecosystem, which you can get the benefit from. So I'm going to talk about in the demo bit in a minute, to give you some 5 things that you can take away today. So those are going to be about creating files in the Microsoft Cloud. They're going to be about using Office Online to share and collaborate effectively, and using tools like the Immersive Reader, which is really one of the things that I think technology, it's been out a few years, but I'm really keen on making sure that everybody on the planet knows about how good this tool is. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks about using PowerPoint online as well, and then how to create some great content in. So I'd just like to finish with this thought from a student. This is one of my students back from Wyndham High, who has now just gone on to get himself a job with National Grid. And this is where industry is. This is where industry is moving to at a great pace. So really, I would implore you to think about, as you move forward, about those skills for students. Jason here is saying that he learned these skills back in 2013, 2014 at Wyndham High, which is really good and really pleased to see. So anyway, we are going to move to demo time. And the first one we're going to kick off with is using Office 365 and creating documents in the cloud. So finally, before I start that, my contact details, please feel free to email me if you have any questions after you've gone through this video. So here we start in the Office 365 dashboard. And as you can see here, simply by signing into office.com, signing in with your Office 365 account, password, you'll see basically your start screen for Office 365. So at the top here, we'll have documents that I've been working on. And down at the bottom half of the screen, you'll see a list of recent files. There'll be documents that I might have pinned and documents that have been shared with me. So what I want to do first off is simply just cover off creating files using Office 365 are really simple. And the core one really we will start with is the one here called OneDrive. Now OneDrive is your personal home folder in the cloud. It's a terabyte in size, so it's got lots of storage space. And if I go into OneDrive, you'll see that I have got a list of folders. As you can see here, I've got my Excel spreadsheets, my Word documents, and of course my PowerPoints. Where would we be without a good PowerPoint these days, I wonder? And what we can do is easily create new documents. So what I'm going to do first of all is simply open one that I've been playing around with earlier on, and this is one here. So we're going to just simply tap on it, and you can see here we can open the document, and there I am running Word in a browser, which is really cool. If I go back to my my OneDrive itself, so let's just close that window down and go and create a new document by going to New and Word document. Then I can just treat this as a blank document and get started. So some of the great things that Word Online allows me to do, and which you're seeing coming across other Office products, is maybe the ability to dictate. So instead of typing what I would do on a keyboard, I can talk to the computer in a real natural language and have it dictate to me in real time. So some students prefer to be able to do this, and likewise, some students may struggle with being natural typists. But the dictation function in Office works with our Azure Cognitive Service to offer you the best in dictation, as we can see here. Full stop, new line. Let's get on with the demo. And of course, when I'm using a Word Online, I've got all of the great functionality of using the immersive reader, which is built into the Office Online platform. And as you can see here, if we just simply click a few buttons there, I've now got a really nice immersive reading view of that document. From a accessibility perspective, I may want to maybe add an overlay, for example, or change the font for something that helps me reading on the screen itself. But likewise, if I'm a teacher, I may want to think about helping students with reading speeds, about breaking that text down, maybe picking out the nouns, the verbs, the adjectives, and the adverbs. And then also you can see I've got the ability to do things like a line focus or indeed a picture dictionary. Translation services are available through the translate option. So again, one of 62 different languages we can translate into directly. And we can translate the whole document really quickly, as you can see there. So creating a document in Office 365 is really, really easy. Using tools like dictation and the immersive reader, also really straightforward in this web browser version of Office. Of course, it wouldn't be a cloud service if I didn't have the ability to share. So again, if I click here, I choose the share option, and this really is where we need to focus students on those kind of core skills. So here I am in my share screen. I can share this out with people in my organization or specific people. So I'm going to allow or share that to a specific person, allowing them to edit, and simply all I would need to do is type in the name of the person that I want to send it to. So this is a great example of real-time collaboration going on. As we move to that way of being to collaborate in real time and allowing students to work collectively together and share those results with the teacher. So again, nice and easy, nice and straightforward, easy to implement. So Office Online tools like Word are very familiar. And again, you have to kind of put it into perspective of the tool set is not the full function tool set which we see in the desktop version, but almost like an Office Lite. But this Office Lite really will give you 95% of all the functionality that you'd ever probably use in Microsoft Office in that respect. So let's just pop back to the Office screen here, and let's just have a look at PowerPoint. So in PowerPoint itself, let's create a new presentation. And what we'll then do is we're going to build a very quick presentation on Sir Clive Sinclair, the 1980s inventor. And we're just going to see some of the great things that we can do in PowerPoint. So if I start with my basic slide, as you can see here, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the insert menu, we're going to go to pictures, and we're going to go a search from the internet. And at this point, I am going to search for Clive Sinclair and look for a picture of the famous inventor. So we're going to go with, let's go with this one here. So we choose insert and the picture will come up, but you'll see immediately on the right hand side the AI designer kicks in and gives us a number of options about the layout of the screen. So let's go to pictures, let's go back, do another search for a Sinclair spectrum. And let's add another picture in there. And again, you'll see how the designer there on the right hand side has changed. Last picture I'm going to add, just to make it really, see if we can throw it out of its thought process. It's the Sinclair C5, of course, and let's pop one of those in. There is Sir Clive there on his Sinclair C5 trike, and you can now see that design has changed once more, and I quite like this one here. And as you can see very quickly, I've now got myself a very nice looking designed front page for PowerPoint. So again, students can use these tools to raise that level of expectation in the way of the quality of the work that they can design, but they must be taught about how to use that functionality, of course. So other great things that we have are the ability to use subtitles. So again, if I've got students who English isn't the first language in the class, or parents' evenings, I could translate what I'm saying into one of the languages which we've listed down here as well. That's always really beneficial. I also now have something called PowerPoint Present Live even. And Present Live, it really builds on that enhancement, being that we can now make PowerPoint truly interactive. So again, here, if I choose either only people in my organization or anyone, doesn't matter, but if I hit the Present Live button, what you'll actually see is an interactive screen inviting people to join my presentation. So all I would need to do now is simply show my QR code reader or enter the URL that we see on the screen in front of us, and it would indicate to me as the presenter the number of people that have joined, and we can then jump into show slides. What this will do, this will allow that the audience can have active participation in the presentation. So they could vote on the pages, they could move forward and backward in the pages, they could leave feedback and so on. So Present Live is a great interactive way of building feedback into your PowerPoint presentations. What we'll do is we'll just end the session there. So we'll end our Present Live. And then finally, we have this option here called Rehearse Coach or Rehearse with Coach. And Rehearse with Coach means, again, we would, if I was making a presentation and we wanted to see how well my presentation skills were, I could start rehearsing and I could say that this is Kevin talking about the Sir Clive Sinclair research project that was done in the 1980s, and maybe I think I want to talk a little bit faster perhaps. So again, if we stop that, what we'll actually see is we will see a preview report of the response that I get from the rehearsing coach. So again, things that I can work to, things I could change, things that could stop me pausing maybe, and things like that. Obviously with one slide it doesn't really give it justice in that respect, but we can see nice things about the pace that we're speaking at and things like that. So just a few samples of what you can begin to achieve in PowerPoint Online as well. So back to the main screen, and we've looked at now creating documents in Word. We've looked at PowerPoint. We can also look at, of course, using Sway or Office Sway to create amazing content. So again, if I click on Sway and do a new Sway, Sway really is great a tool for digital storytelling. So again, if you're in a position where you don't need to be thinking about the design of PowerPoint, or does a black text look good with a yellow background and things like that, and you just want to concentrate on the data that you want to get over to either students, parents or colleagues, So, for example, if we were going to create ourselves a sway today on maybe the Apollo 11 moon landings, I would simply launch sway, title my sway as Apollo 11. Oh, let's get a capital A in there. And I would click on the background option. The background option itself will allow me to look at a list of images. These are, if I click on the box here, Creative Commons only, so they are royalty free. And of course, we may as well start with the most iconic picture of all time of Neil Armstrong on the moon. Let's just close that down, and we can see on the screen here that we only have two options, the storyline and the design. So if we go to design, design will be our output as well, and storyline being the content. So if I look at the storyline itself, you can see that one card relates to what we see on the screen. So in that design mode that we're in, if we go across to styles, we have this button here called remix. So if we hit the remix button, you'll see we'll be able to change the design layout just simply by clicking on the remix button. Okay, and we'll just be able to simply scroll through these preset layouts and designs for as long as we want to. Okay, so what we can now do is we can now go back and continue on our storyline. So of course, maybe the next thing we want to do is add a bit of text. So there's a piece of text, again, just checking on the output. You can see that's now in our sway window. Let's go back to storyline. We can add videos, of course, really easily by choosing plus, going to media, going to video, and now we have the ability to add a video. Again, remember, we can bring this in from our OneDrive, our own device, or other internet searches. So let's just simply drag that clip in there. Again, really am not worried about resolution, sizes, and so on, because Sway deals with it all. Let's have a look at design. So design's really coming together. Bearing in mind it's kind of working nicely on this lovely screen here, but if I was using it on a classroom interactive whiteboard, it would be rescaled. If I was using it on a 4-inch smartphone, it would still be rescaled and you would not lose any information. So again, pop back to storyline. One of the great things we could do is maybe use the group setting here and do a comparison. So this is a great way of quizzing students. So we could say, have a look at this picture here of the Apollo Saturn V rocket and compare it against when it's launching. So again, we go back to design and we now have this great way, which we can't do in any other application, about comparing those slides. Okay, so again, if we just hit the styles button, let's go horizontal on this, and let's do a quick remix just in case, just for good measure. There we go. So again, you can see how that's changed once more. So once you've got your sway in together, what we then need to do is think about how we allow other people to access that. So we would go to the share button here, and we can choose the options to share to specific people or groups, people in my organization, so people with a valid Office 365 account, or alternatively anyone with a link. All we'd need to do is copy this out. We've got the ability to use view or edit modes. So again, are we read only, or are we allowing people to edit the document? And I can then push that out to maybe a virtual learning environment, a social media channel as well. So Office Sway, really good, really easy to use. Lastly, if we hit the sway button here on the menu and come back to the screen here, what you'll find is you've got the ability to look at analytics as well. Now, none of this is a demo version that I'm using at the moment, so no one's looked at those sways, but you will also see, where, for example, what it would look like. So here we are, the universe. You would have had a total of 80 views and average time spent. So again, if you're using Sway as a mechanism to get information out to students, you can see how interested and interactive those students would be with them as well. So Office Sway, very good, very easy to use. Doesn't replace PowerPoint entirely, but really you should think about using it for maybe students, or where PowerPoint will maybe add to the thought process a bit too much in the way of the designs and things like that. So get students to feel really competent about creating great content and sharing it with you using Office Sway. And lastly, just wanted to shout out to you about the Microsoft Educator community. So the Microsoft Educator community, or MEC as it's known, is the Microsoft free CPD training resource. So what you'd have to do is, if you wanted to use this, you'd have to get your Office 365 administrator to approve this for your organization. So that's a very simple process if he hasn't done it, or she hasn't done it already. And then all you'd need to do is sign in with your Office 365 account details. And as you can see here, I'm now signed in and I have access to all of these courses, which can allow you to be credited with badges and certificates in your personal learning record. So great resources here, some great courses which are being constantly added to and kept really up to date in the pandemic arena, shall we say, of hybrid learning. But some great courses, all written by fellow educators who have got learning and teaching with technology at the heart of what they do. So K-12 educators, higher education courses as well. So you can really sort of home down into those courses. Once you've got that underway, you will also see, for example, you'll get a profile. You'll then see the courses that you've done, and you are building up your own personal development record. So education.microsoft.com is a key website to go to. Make sure you bookmarked it. It's completely free. But also, if you'd like to get involved in things like Skype in the classroom, taking students on field trips, you can do that from here as well. So once again, that kind of wraps up my presentation. I'm really sorry that I couldn't make the presentation this morning, but I hope you see some value in the tools that I have here with the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, Surface at the heart of the hardware, to allow you to get the best out of hybrid learning and remote learning with your students and fellow colleagues. If you have any questions that you would like to ask, please feel free to email me or contact me on Twitter. My email address is kevin@surfaceedu.co.uk, or you can catch me on Twitter, the @SurfaceEduGuy. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the Darlington EdTech Festival.